Hey, it's your host, Brittany, and welcome to the Mom Sweat Sanity Podcast, where we talk all things life, health, fitness, kids, relationships, you name it, nothing is off the table. A little bit of just me and a whole lot of knowledgeable guests. So throw on your Lulus to run or to mom, grab yourself a cup of coffee or a glass of wine, and join us as we unpack life's pressing topics and learn a little bit more of the who, what, whys of it all. Or at the very least, get real, share some wisdom, and grab practical tips to help in our daily lives.
I really wanted to build a company that limited food waste and footprint, having come from the other side of certainly not being frivolous, but like it's just the nature of the beast when you deal with fresh food production, and having inventory. So we weren't always like, now we know how to carry an inventory. So suddenly there's like a spinach shortage. It doesn't wipe out half our product line. You know, we can carry a certain amount of inventory so we can solve the problem. And it's not like, okay, well, orders can't go out, so to speak.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in today. Today I sat with Deanna Embury of Blended For You Smoothies. We talked all things smoothies, from the conception of her company through to how they can be a staple in your freezer. Their smoothies are designed to be a complete nutrition meal and boosted with superfoods to support different health goals and taste preferences, even kid approved. So tune in today to find out how Blended For You Smoothies can be a staple in your freezer. Let's just dive in. How did you get into this? Deanna, who are you? Give us a little bio and background of yourself.
Well, I have been an entrepreneur for, at least 15 years or so now. And my previous business, I was a fresh food meal delivery company. We had small grab and go healthy food retail stores. And so my whole world has been, I kind of came into that world from the business side, but as a customer who was like really looking for healthy on the go food. And, at the time, this is again, like 2005, 2004-ish, there really wasn't anything for grab and go and for healthy living. And I was working crazy hours. And so the sort of root of, online business and the idea behind helping people eat well and stay energized and truly nourished and not sort of like what I call like, artificially flavored box food. Like, truly good for you, good to go food. And so that's been in my, my world for quite some time. And in 2014, I sold my first company to Spud, a grocery delivery company that is sort of on the West Coast, and worked with them for over a year, about a year and a half, and was still, operating what was Licious Living that then became Be Fresh as a brand. And a couple close people in my life had critical health hurdles. So my father, not as serious the level, had to need to have a heart valve replaced and need to gain weight for a surgery. And then on a sort of more serious situation, a close friend of mine was diagnosed with advanced colorectal cancer. And in both situations, nutrition was needed, easily digestible, as many good for you nutrients in as small a format possible, was required. And I have been somebody who's been fueling my life and my crazy, I call it. And I say crazy in a good way, but, I need a lot of energy to work the days and, do the activities I like to do and have time. And so smoothies have been a big part of my personal life. So I didn't even have it on the radar. I was like, I'm going to, design some smoothie recipes for you. And they were different blends for the different situations and individuals, but they were almost this like great hit. And we're talking, someone who was my age, he was more open to like green smoothies and like, mega nutrient dosing. And then my father, who's literally a meat and potatoes man, who would make fun of me when I would go home and make a deep green smoothie. And so I was like, well, this is actually the bigger challenge, even though it's the lesser need. And so I had success on both sides. But there's a lot of ingredients, and it's about ingredient combining and, really putting a lot of thought and love and care into like absorption and what best foods combine together and making it taste good. There are grab and go products in the market, some of them not healthy, that are sort of liquid nutrition, and some that, are healthier, but don't taste good. So people aren't going to stick with it. And it's sort of like a muscle to get it down every day. And so that's kind of how it started. And then, on both sides, they were my father and my friend Darren were like, well, I just, there's all these ingredients, and my mom was pre-portioning things for my dad. And Darren was like, could you just come and make them and drop them off for me every day? And I'm like, well, I kind of work long hours. I probably can't do that every day, but the seed was planted. And as I was leaving working with Spud, I was in no way ready to start up another business. I was pretty burnt out. I had been running kind of all candles at all ends for quite some time. And I left. I proceeded to go down to San Francisco for a month and ride my bike and pretend, that I was going to cash in on all the vacation time I hadn't taken to date in my adult years. And then went to try and learn how to kite surf in the Baja and just sort of took some time. But the seed planted and I started playing around with recipes and I was like, oh, this just kept knocking at my door, so to speak. I consulted for like a full year. I was like, just didn't have the startup armor on and really wanted to kind of go through that. Well, what is this, process and started developing products. And then by the time sort of 2017 hit, I was at the point where I was developing smoothies and putting them into like Ziploc bags and freezing them. And I went and visited a very close friend of mine in Miami. We went to Whole Foods and spent like $500 on ingredients and spent like just days playing around with all kinds of things and with a goal of really creating something that will help people, whether it's just staying healthy and managing a busy life, whether it's getting your greens in because you just don't like to eat them, or something more serious, like whether it's, can be for kids who need certain nutrition or aren't getting the right nutrition, right up to the situations that like, a cancer treatment or an elder parent or an aging parent, I should say elder parent, but, that just needs extra nutrition. And so it could be that spectrum of keeping healthy and helping people get healthy and energize their lives and nourish their lives. And so it was quite a bit as a year of product development, like of solid product development, not me going on holidays and like buying ingredients and pretending I was working a little bit. And I came back energized and I was ready to go to it. I had a great time consulting. I loved working with other entrepreneurs. It's a huge passion of mine. And was with a friend of mine who is still the CFO of Spud. And they had a commissary kitchen, which we actually started up when I was there. And the bottom of it was no longer being used for like an organic juice press company. And literally in that dinner, it was like, what are you doing with that space? And she's like, oh, it's open. I'm like, I'll sublease it. I didn't even know the words were coming out of my mouth. And I guess it was just time I was ready to do it. So I took on the space and then we launched in 2018. So that's kind of the trajectory from like start to where we are now.
Well, I see that you have that entrepreneurial side from 2004, 2005, as you said, and then being able to be in that food service business. I mean, you were ahead of your game there with the food prep and delivery, as you said back then. Like now it's, more so everywhere in that field. And I can imagine it wasn't so much then. As much as we all wished it were probably, but
You're
and
so
then
right.
taking that drive into now, I mean, obviously you needed that time to create some creations. I mean, you need obviously the thought and the input and whatnot into every smoothie. And as you said, as to why each smoothie is better for one person versus the other, or what the nutrients are that they're looking for. So I can imagine that that's a constant changing, evolving door.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was really a good lesson for all my, all the entrepreneurs out there. Like it was a bit of an ignorance is bliss the first time around because I wasn't paying attention to things like, well, where is this at the marketplace? And I had no idea how hard it would be to almost be like a front trailblazer in that. I would have suppliers laugh at me about single serve fresh food going into single serve fresh food containers. Like I had a very condescending, container rep who was used to dealing with frozen food. And, I guess to his, didn't see what I saw and wasn't the customer for what I was needing in my life, and so, but I didn't have any understanding about how hard it would be to change customer or consumer habit or how people think or how people do things. Like I thought, well, people just need this. They're not going to question. This is just awesome. It's not like, oh, well, we don't do that. We don't order food online to be delivered to door. Like, how's it going to be fresh? And like, it was almost such a battle just to get people to understand, like, no, you just order online and we deliver it to your door. And this thing, it was just like, I would say this time around, my timing is far better. It's a little bit more competitive for sure, but you're focusing on introducing your product. If you have a unique product and great customer service, it's never going to be easy, but you're not focused on trying to like actually convince this customer to adopt something new.
And smoothies and juices are so known now out there, but you're doing something so different, as you said, into the freezer product. So tell us a little bit more about that side of it.
Yeah. So having come from the fresh food world and really understanding, how nutrient, profile and quality and nutrition is locked in, in a frozen state versus how long its shelf life is when it's in a fresh state, the business side of it. So it's very hard to work from fresh food inventories. And when you're predicting all the time and you're really hoping there's, you're on the right side of the game or the number when it comes up in terms of like what you need to have so you can fulfill all your customer orders, but then also not end up standing, it's why there's so much waste in a lot of food production, because you have to bring X amount in restaurants, you've got to put X amount on the plate, and then it has to always be more than the last bite somebody wants, And so, from a food waste point of view, I really wanted to build a company that limited food waste and footprint, having come from the other side of certainly not being frivolous, but like it's just the nature of the beast when you deal with fresh food production, and having inventory. So we weren't always like, now we know how to carry an inventory. So suddenly there's like a spinach shortage, it doesn't wipe out half our product line. We can carry a certain amount of inventory so we can solve the problem. And it's not like, okay, well, orders can't go out, so to speak. And I remember having that happening, like there'd be a recall or a shortage of something and you'd be modifying all your meals. And it just, again, there's a certain place where I was just kind of had lived and done that. And I was like, I want a new challenge.
Well, and look at this year that we just came through, right? Like COVID and all the mass buying and everything. If you didn't have things in your freezer, produce was all taken up very quickly.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think when I was, looking at, well, really the core of the company, again, is about helping people, eat well, stay energized. Like we will helping our customers and communities, be healthier, stay healthy. And what format can we best do that in? And, as a smoothie lover, I am passionate, I'm sort of geekily passionate about nutrition and smoothies and all those things, but it just felt like the right product. And, having been in the fresh food space, and from my own personal experience, it's awful when you waste produce. Like I hate it, and I drink smoothies. So almost anything will go into my smoothies. If it's like spinach is left over, but even like cauliflower, zucchini, like nothing, but it's, invariably it happens. And, I love the combination of the health and the nutrition, the low food waste, and then being able to ship it. So online, you got to stay as tight as you can, in terms of your boxes, your materials, both from a customer and a business point of view and a margin point of view. And again, I say this like it's, I just knew this. It took me a while to learn and pull the levers, and, spent a good 4 months from when I took on that production space before we launched, like 4 or 5 months before we even launched, just to continue to learn like equipment and how to fine tune recipes and kind of maximize the value of that product, both for the customer and for the business model, so we could scale it. Yeah.
So when I have my smoothie in the freezer, do I just pull that out? Does it de-thaw, or do I add water or a certain milk, or how does that work?
Yeah. So when I was thinking about, there's a few companies that do like the loose ingredients in cups, or where you always need a blender. And I thought, well, if our goal is to help people eat well on the go at any time, not everyone's packing around a blender. They may or may not have one at their office or want to have one at their office. So you can do 3 things. You can pull the pack the night before and put it in your fridge, and it's ready to go in the morning to blend. If you don't do that and you forget, which I always do, you can just pull it out, take your blender jug, put like room temp water in it, put the pack in, leave it for like 2 minutes, take your shower, do whatever you got to do, quick workout, and then come back and blend it with whatever liquid of choice. We love, the coconut, the cashew milks, things like that go well with them. You can also just let it soften and spoon from the pack, which is kind of how I have them at least 50% of the time. And I think that's probably aligned with our customer habits. So if I'm not at home in the morning, I always blend it. But oftentimes, I came from a world of, working crazy, and I wasn't like a fast food grabber, but I would be like, I'm going to get an almond milk latte. It's like lunch, right? Or a matcha green tea latte. Like it's fine. It's calories, and it's not the right calories, And so I started spooning them. And it's perfect. It's like a pudding, it kind of softens down to like a pudding state. And we launched some chia bowls and some soups now. So they're also a nice tie-in if you're not a big smoothie drinker, or you want to shake it up, or you want more lunch options. Those are great. And then another way you can have them is you can just, take the puck out of the pouch, put it in your shaker cup, add your liquid, get out the door, go for your workout. And within an hour or two, just shake it, and it will just become, your kind of smoothie or your thing on the go.
So convenient and like, right. Yeah. The quick access for that, no matter where you are, whether you're at home or out on the go, that's amazing.
Yeah. And some people don't like to drink their meals. They like to eat more. You can make a smoothie bowl. Like, so we got some people like, how to make beautiful smoothie bowls. I'm like, you take our pack, you blend it with a little banana or avocado, and then you just deal with the toppings because we've got the nutrition covered. It's not just a bowl of fruit, and fruit is amazing and it's healthy, and our smoothies are packed with them, but we also add in things like cauliflower and spinach and zucchini, and we tuck them in so they're not sort of strong in the profile, but a big believer in adding vegetables to smoothies. So I think like 90% of our blends have like a vegetable included in them that's, has a high nutrition profile.
So if I want to get my kids eating better, what's the go-to smoothie for a young kid that, like my son say, has no interest in eating anything green other than like romaine lettuce?
Totally. Understood. We have a kids fave section on our site, and this has been tested with kids. So what I find works best, and if you're making your smoothies at home, so we have a nutty chocolate lover, and it has a whack of cauliflower rolled into it that you can't taste. So I had my nephew, that, and then the Choco Banana Hero has zucchini in both. It's in there, but it's just the nature of the flavor profile. It's why you can get away with zucchini and like banana bread and things like that. And, no sugar added. They've got the protein, the healthy fats, the carbohydrates, but they can spoon them versus drink them. Those two are great. And then we have berry ones. So kids for us tend to like the chocolate ones and the berry ones. Mm-hmm. So those ones that don't have the mega boosters, like we have, we do actually have some lower carb smoothies. We have some fun adult ones called the After Party, that has like B12 and dandelion and cayenne, you know what I mean? And actually, I feel like it works. I mean, so I understand those, but kid ones are really about texture and taste. So if you can mask the vegetables in it, so my go-tos for kids are zucchini and cauliflower. And then we have one called the Nutty Athlete that kids love. And it's got a ton of spinach, but it's got that almond butter and banana piece kind of rolling with it. So those are the ones I would go for.
And are most of your smoothies higher protein content, or do they vary depending on what we're looking for?
About 80% of them have between 15 and 21 grams. So it was important for people to not have to add more protein unless they want to, but also not make it taste like a protein shake. So you can still taste the flavor profiles are the fruits and the veggies and what's in there. It's not like, some of the shake powders where like you literally put anything in and it still tastes like the same thing. And then there's a few 100% organic ones that have about 10 grams of protein in them. We do have a couple of low carb ones for people who are wanting to kind of keep their carb levels low, but still get, sort of mega greens and vegetable nutrition in. So yeah, but I'd say 80% of them, that 15 to 21 gram mark. Yeah.
And are you catering any of them towards more like the vegan protein, or are you in a whey based, or what do you use?
We are 100% plant-based vegan. So it's all the gig. Yeah. It's some of that's to do with production, being like fans of plant-based. I totally understand that it's, the whey is for some people, and we kind of leave it for people to boost a little bit with that. We don't say, don't put in a full scoop or if you're using a whey protein powder, because then you'll end up with more protein than your body can absorb. But if you put a tablespoon in to kind of boost it up and you want it to be whey, go for it. Mm-hmm. It was important for us to keep our production line vegan, gluten-free. A lot of allergens tend to fall around that sort of dairy, gluten kind of category. So we wanted to, the mission for the company is to next expand into blends that support different critical illnesses. So as much as we can do to like keep our ingredient deck inflammation, supportive, and allergen, how do you say it? Allergen friendly.
Yeah. Totally.
That was our goal. Yeah.
Wow.
It's confusing customers. You have like 24 packs. You're like, well, this one has whey and this one's vegan. It was like, no, they're all just vegan, plant-based. We even have our packaging is now made from plant materials and inks. So it's compostable, all non-toxic, no plastic. So we jumped into that last summer. And it's been awesome. Yeah.
Wow.
It's been huge.
That's amazing. That's fantastic. So all around, just very, plant.
Yeah. Good for you. Good for the planet. Yeah.
Absolutely. So what is your go-to smoothie? Do you have a favorite one that you seem to consume most days?
Yeah, I go for the deep greens. So I'm a greens detox, greens daily dose. I love green smoothies. I do so when that's in the morning, every morning. And it's sort of boring and it's predictability, but I am like a deep green smoothie drinker. If I feel like I need a little bit more, I might add half a banana in, but usually it's just a straight up, the soldiers, I call it the morning soldiers. I do like in the afternoon, if I'm often a 2 blend a day person, I'll have one of the soups. So there's a greens immunity and a vegan sweet potato coconut soup. And I find them, I don't like to sit down and have big meals in the day. And I find them, they're very nourishing and they're kind of my go-tos. Or there's a shroom energy blend. So I'm diving deep into the world of adaptogens and, things that help your immune system and support stress function. We've all had, a crazy year, and a big part of what I am passionate about and doing a deep dive into is how nutrition supports mental health. It's big on our radar. So when I talk about, nutrition supporting critical illness, and there's a mental health piece that is really interesting to me that I'm very passionate about. So some of those blends that have like ashwagandha and the reishi mushroom, the lion's mane, the studies are really incredible and it's very exciting. So I lean into some of those in the afternoon if I feel like I need an immunity or sort of an immune system boost. Yeah.
Wow. I highly agree with what we consume is a big part, or almost you could, say the whole part of our mental health and wellness. Absolutely. Yeah. What we put into our bodies.
And how it's tied to gut health. So it can be your daily moods right through to, depressions, and how you can show up for yourself and, what you can do with nutrition to just, really give yourself the best shot to being, the healthiest you can be mentally and physically, is going to come from nutrition and movement, for sure movement, but at the core, it's if you're not putting the right things into your body. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's important to us. Like we call it like a blend a day. Like, a friend of mine sort of said to me like, oh, I don't know why. And she probably didn't even care. She's like, I just feel better when I have one every day. And I'm like, just keep doing it. And she's got a crazy job and a busy life. And I was like, that to me, it sums up, like, it doesn't need to be complicated. We want to be for every person. Like, you just feel better when we take care of it. We take maybe stress out of nutrition, busy mornings, a lot of guilt comes from not eating well because and I'm like, well, if we can alleviate any of those things for people, I feel like it's a huge win for us.
Absolutely. And starting our day off fueled right really does align yourself for the rest of the day.
100%. Yeah. Emotionally, physically, energy wise, and you've got kids, right? Sometimes you're just like, oh, if my blood sugar levels aren't right, then we're in big trouble.
Oh my gosh. It's almost lunchtime here. I'm really getting hungry with all this conversation. So you mentioned smoothie in the morning. You do your greens generally. Do you have a morning routine? I mean, you're one busy lady and upcoming we'll have to dive into the Toronto conversation quickly after this one, but do you have a morning routine that kind of sets your day off?
Yeah, I'm an early morning person, and that has always been, I guess, or maybe I'm not the best, sort of sleeper. So that could be either way. So I get up and I tend to, handle anything that needs to be handled, like work-wise, which sounds like a weird way to wake up. And then I have a pup, so I have a dog. And so generally I try to get out into the trails with her for an hour around 6:30 or 7. And then I kind of come back ready to start my day. At some point, I sometimes will go and do a run of my own or do some kind of workout of my own. That tends to happen these days. I don't know why after work. I used to always be a workout person in the morning. And then since I've had Keiko, it's like, I have to feel like I have to take care of her first, which is insane. I mean, I get in the trees, so maybe that's it too. I get my time outside, but yeah, you sort of fit things in and I kind of start my day. So by the time 9 o'clock, 8:30, 9 o'clock, and let's say the rest of our team is kind of coming on board, or I'm already ready and I'm not feeling like I've got to I'm ready to receive, I guess, versus
yeah. You set yourself up well and you've already had your computer time and all of that. So.
Yeah. If it's if I'm in a really stressful period with the business, or I'm feeling like very challenged, which of course, whether it's with business or life in general, a lot of people have gone through that in the last year. I have a couple podcasts that I listen to that are very motivational and very much a reminder that challenge isn't just because there's a pandemic, it's life, it's business, it's startup life, it's, whatever it is. And so one is called How I Built This with Guy Raz. Whether you're an entrepreneur or not, there are amazing stories on there that are fascinating. And so a lot of the times in the morning, when I'm, in the trails or taking Keiko for a walk, I'll have one of those on. And I find it like brings my energy to like, I got this. If they can do that, I got this, like there's such good stories. I can't recommend it enough just for inspiration and, I guess a real reality check where like success doesn't happen overnight. And I think a lot of us with social media and everything else that's going on, you sometimes need those reminders that everybody, no matter how big the success story appears to be now, has gone through these crazy challenges. So I'll do that in the morning and I'll be very aware of when I need that, even if I'm doing other things while it's on. I feel like that's kind of like a little bit of a life hack that I have for getting through stressful business periods.
Well said. I really like that tip. And I agree. Definitely listening, getting inspiration from others and feeling that kind of energy definitely helps propel the days for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And you just feel like there's a camaraderie in it.
For sure.
Especially in an isolating time, you're like, okay, there's people out there that are doing this too.
In the middle of the forest as you're walking the dog.
Totally. Like they're not doing it right here, right now, but for sure they're on their own forest walk, like reaching for inspiration. So
forest. I love the forest too. I could get lost in those trails forever. So what is next up for the business?
So we in a, stroke of genius timing last year, and we are super excited about it, what's to come. But we signed a lease space in February of 2020. That's when it was effective March 1, 2020 for a really cool little spot on the Danforth in Toronto. And it was going to be our first, a way to sort of introduce, we have launched in the Ontario market for online now. So you can order online for direct delivery, but we kept the doors closed on retail through this year. It just didn't make sense for us to do it. And super excited about the Ontario market. I'm from Ontario. I feel like we've got potentially a huge reach there. But the idea was having a small, a space that in the back we did all our distribution from for the direct to customers in Ontario. And then we had a small retail front where people come visit us, if they wanted to talk about doing a health reset plan, if they wanted to, find out which blends were right for them. It was a way for, customers to sort of touch and feel the company and the brand and meet the people behind it. And so we've literally sat on it for a year, almost heartbreakingly so. But we have the design plans done and we're going to start to build it now. So that will happen over the next couple of months. And we're really hoping to go live midsummer. So of course, continuing on doing distribution there right now. So that's going to be a big project. And then developing the blends that support, diabetes is a big one for us. A few blends that are really focused on, healthy seniors or aging parents that I have seen there's a massive need for, anyone who's coming out of care where they're being recommended, let's call it sugary water, nutrition boost drinks and things like that. I am sort of very passionate about putting a replacement to the market on that can help people, again, stay healthy. Nutrition is a huge part of aging. And you've kind of got that window where if you can keep your nutrition up, it really extends the health lease, so to speak. But then if it declines, which it often does in some really, really great years where people have years ahead of them of healthy life. If your nutrition starts to go, you really lose that. Mm-hmm. So that's an area that we really, really want to explore and put some great products out in the market for. And maybe not just smoothies. Like I said, we have the soups and things now and just really focus on, we've got that sort of adult segment covered to a certain degree, the kids segment. And now it's like, okay, well, where's the other piece? What's the other piece that needs to be solutioned? Yeah.
That's really exciting. I would agree that area, that generation is probably an area that really does need that infiltration into the market because, I'll get up and I'll make a smoothie often, but will my parents? No. Right? Like it's definitely a generational thing. I think that has come around. I've been doing it for years, but not yours. And I'm super excited to get on to this because I need that convenience.
Let's fix this. You're back in Vancouver or North Vancouver. Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, congratulations. What an exciting time and all the best with your new location. You don't have any storefronts in Vancouver though, right? It's all distribution?
Yeah, it's all distribution. People can pick up from our Toronto and Vancouver locations. But right now we're all online in British Columbia, Alberta, Ontario. We do have some wholesale partners that we're working with. So if you're in Whistler and you go to Lifter Moguls or Forecast Coffee, they use our smoothies. So they're that same quality. They're not sort of filler smoothies that you often get when you're grabbing and going. So you can find blended, but otherwise we'll just drop it right to your door. Why do you want to go out shopping for it?
Yeah, perfect. And I like right the idea of being able to use it, like, make a smoothie bowl or eat it.
Yeah. You're going hiking? Like, who wants to pack around like all the stuff? It's just like, your packs are out the door.
I'll throw this one out there for my girlfriend. We can take those instead of your dried food meals that we eat in the middle of
squirrel food. Yeah.
Yes. Perfect.
Yeah.
I can't wait. So where can we find you? You've done a few plugs for Whistler and online mediums. So what's the website and all that?
So the website is Blended For You. So the word blended and then spelled out FORYOU.com. And our social is @Blended For You. So yeah, please, join us, follow us, let's connect. If anyone has any questions about which blends might be right for them or how it all works, it's probably easy if they just DM us on Instagram or Facebook, and then we'll connect through email after that. Once we have their information, we can set them up with a program that's right for them.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to share it. See you next week. You can find me on Instagram @Mom Sweat Sanity.